Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on a journey to a place most people don't even know exists.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. We're talking about renal tubules.
The tiny tubes inside your kidneys.
The very same. They're working hard every second, filtering your blood, balancing electrolytes, even managing your blood pressure.
They are essential for life. These tiny structures are intricate and fascinating.
We'll be exploring the main sections: the PCT, loop of Henle, DCT, and collecting ducts. Each one has its own special role to play.
It's a complex filtration system for sure, but by the end of this deep dive, you'll understand how it all works.
And just how important these tubules are for your health. So first stop, the proximal convoluted tubule, the PCT. It's like a recycling center, reclaiming vital substances that would be lost in your urine.
And it's incredibly efficient. The PCT reabsorbs 100% of glucose and amino acids.
Wow, imagine if we lost all that every time we peed.
We wouldn't function very well.
I remember reading that the PCT is also where parathyroid hormone acts. That hormone helps regulate calcium, right?
Yes, it does. Parathyroid hormone actually blocks phosphate reabsorption in the PCT to keep calcium and phosphate levels balanced in your blood.
So it's all about maintaining that delicate balance.
Exactly. And the PCT also balances water and electrolytes, like sodium and potassium. By the time the fluid leaves the PCT, it's isotonic, meaning it has the same concentration of solutes as your blood plasma.
Okay, so isotonic means the concentration of solutes is the same inside the tubule as it is outside in the bloodstream.
Precisely. And the PCT constantly adjusts to make sure that balance stays.
It's amazing how much work is going on in such a tiny space.
It is. And we're just getting started. From the PCT, we move into the loop of Henle, named after the scientist who discovered it.
The loop of Henle. It sounds mysterious.
What makes it special is its ability to concentrate urine by manipulating osmolarity.
Osmolarity, that's the concentration of solutes.
Yes. Think of it like a filtration plant, making sure we don't lose all our water with the waste.
Okay, I'm following. But the fluid leaving the PCT was isotonic. So what changes?
The loop of Henle changes it. It shifts from isotonic to hypertonic.
Hypertonic meaning?
More concentrated, and then back to isotonic again.
Wait, how does it do that?
Well, the loop of Henle is U-shaped, with distinct parts. The first part is the thin descending limb. It's highly permeable to water.
Permeable, so water can easily pass through.
Exactly. And since the surrounding tissue has a higher solute concentration, water flows out of the descending limb.
And that makes the fluid inside more concentrated.
Hypertonic. Now, the next section, the thin ascending limb, is the opposite. Impermeable to water, but permeable to sodium and urea.
So sodium and urea escape instead.
You got it. And this makes the fluid less concentrated again, closer to isotonic.
Yeah, it's like a dance between water and solutes.
Carefully choreographed dance. But wait, there's more. The loop of Henle has one more trick. The thick ascending limb.
What's so special about that?
This part has pumps that actively transport sodium and potassium out.
Actively transport.
Ears.
Using energy.
Exactly. This makes the fluid inside hypotonic, less concentrated than the surrounding fluid.
So it goes from isotonic to hypertonic to hypotonic. It's like a roller coaster.
A roller coaster crucial for fluid balance.
It's amazing how much these tiny tubes do.
We've only just begun to explore their world. There's still the DCT and the collecting ducts to come.
Okay, so the fluid's been through the loop of Henle. It's slightly hypotonic now.
Right, so it moves on to the next stage. The distal convoluted tubule, or DCT.
The DCT, that's where things get really specific, right?
Exactly. It's the final control point for adjusting electrolytes, like sodium, potassium, and hydrogen. And for fine-tuning the concentration of urine, first, it dilutes the fluid further.
Like the thick ascending limb did.
Yes. It pumps out more sodium to make the fluid even more hypotonic. But here's where things get interesting. Two key hormones step in: aldosterone and antidiuretic hormone, or ADH.
Aldosterone. That rings a bell. Vaguely.
Aldosterone's all about sodium, conserving it, actually. It increases the reabsorption of sodium back into the bloodstream.
Why is that so important?
Well, sodium regulates blood volume and pressure. So by reabsorbing sodium, aldosterone helps maintain healthy blood pressure. And at the same time, it promotes the excretion of potassium or hydrogen ions.
So it's like a balancing act, keeping sodium in check while also adjusting other electrolytes? What about ADH?
ADH, that's all about water conservation. It increases the permeability of the DCT to water, allowing more water to be reabsorbed.
So aldosterone regulates sodium, and ADH regulates water.
You could say that. And this fine-tuning of water reabsorption by ADH is crucial for preventing dehydration and maintaining proper blood volume.
Which is tied to blood pressure. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But how do these hormones know when to act?
They respond to signals from the body, like changes in blood pressure or electrolyte concentrations. Let's say you're dehydrated. Your blood pressure drops. This triggers the release of ADH, which acts on the DCT to conserve water and bring your blood pressure back up.
It's amazing. The body has all these systems in place to keep things running smoothly.
It really is a finely tuned machine. But the complexity doesn't stop there. From the DCT, the fluid moves into the collecting ducts.
The collecting ducts, the final stage, right? Are they just a passageway for the urine?
Not quite. Think of them as the finishing school for urine. Final adjustments are made there. For example, one of the processes that occurs is the formation of ammonia from glutamine.
Ammonia? What's that for?
It helps maintain the body's acid-base balance, making sure the pH of your blood stays within a healthy range.
So even in these final stages, there's still fine-tuning going on.
Oh.
And aldosterone and ADH are still involved, right?
You're right. Both hormones continue to make adjustments to sodium and water reabsorption based on the body's needs.
It's incredible how every step is so interconnected.
Yeah.
And responsive to what's happening in the body.
And because of all that, by the time the fluid reaches the end of the collecting duct, it's urine, a concentrated solution of waste and excess water, ready to be eliminated.
So we've gone from the PCT, where vital substances are reabsorbed, through the loop of Henle with its concentration gradient, to the fine-tuning of the DCT and collecting ducts.
It's been quite a journey, but the story of renal tubules doesn't end here. The key is understanding how this microscopic world has such a huge impact on our health.
That's a great point. We've seen how these tiny tubes filter waste, balance electrolytes, and regulate blood pressure. But what does that actually mean for us in everyday life?
That's what we'll explore as we wrap up our deep dive. Stay tuned.
We've been on quite the adventure, exploring this hidden world of renal tubules. But how does all this microscopic action impact our everyday lives?
Well, think about it. Understanding how these tubules work can completely change how we understand medical information.
Okay, like how?
Let's say your doctor orders a urinalysis, you know, that common test. It analyzes the components of your urine. One thing they look for is glucose.
Right, sugar.
Now remember, the PCT reabsorbs all the glucose.
100%.
So finding glucose in your urine, that's not good.
Oh, I see. It means something's not working right.
It could be a sign of diabetes. The blood sugar levels are so high, the PCT can't keep up.
So knowing how the tubules are supposed to work helps us understand what it means when they don't.
Exactly. And it goes beyond diagnosis. It affects medication, too. A lot of drugs are filtered and excreted by the kidneys. So knowing how those tubules work, it can help predict how effective a drug will be, or what side effects it might have.
Makes sense. So for someone with high blood pressure, for example, understanding how aldosterone affects the tubules could be important.
Very important. Some blood pressure medications actually block aldosterone, which means less sodium is reabsorbed, which lowers blood volume and pressure.
So you can understand why the medication works
Right.
and what side effects to watch out for.
Exactly, like low potassium levels, for example.
It's like having a secret window into our bodies.
And that knowledge can help us take better care of ourselves. It all starts with appreciating these tiny structures, working so hard to keep us healthy.
It really is amazing. These renal tubules constantly filtering and reabsorbing, adjusting everything to keep our bodies in balance.
And the craziest part, they're doing all that right now, as we speak, every minute of every day.
I never really thought about it like that. They're like little heroes working behind the scenes.
It's easy to forget about them. They're so small, but they're incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And incredibly important.
So to everyone listening, next time you think about your kidneys, remember this deep dive. Remember those tiny tubules. They're working hard to keep you healthy.
And this is just the beginning. There's so much more to learn about the human body, so many fascinating stories waiting to be discovered.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and until next time, happy diving.